sort of thinking about. Elon Musk is about to announce his robo-taxis very, very soon, which is going to come on the backdrop of his really ridiculous, somewhat immature conflict with Donald Trump. And that's going to be a real big catalyst for Tesla stock. For those of you that are owners of Tesla stock, I am an owner of Tesla stock. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what this ends up looking like and whether this moves the stock price. I think the price went down a little bit today. I bought some more shares when the price went down because I mentioned to you all, I mentioned it a lot. And again, I don't even know how anyone feels about it. I just tell you the truth about what I'm doing and why. I don't care about the politics. I don't care about his personality. I don't, I assume most of these CEOs don't care a whole lot about black people, to be honest with you. I just want them to do their job. And so basically, Musk is his company is leading the way when it comes to robo taxis and what is it? No, it's autonomous vehicles and robots. And those are supposed to be two massive industries, and things are really going to change. And I would encourage you to pay attention to that. And again, if Tesla's not your jam, that's okay. I made a list of AI stocks. If you text the word stock to the phone number 87948, you can get a list of the AI stocks. Um, uh, and uh, and there we go. All right, so text the word stock to the number 87948 and you can get that list. All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the economics of time. And so Allegra said she just opened up her Robinhood account. Good for you. All right, Allegra. Great. Everybody clap for Allegra. Allegra, give her a digital round of applause. We got to clap for each other when we start investing. That's really important. I was just talking to a young black woman who does she does lashes, or as they say in Philly, she does lashes. I said, "What do you do?" She said, "I do lashes," and so she has this lashes business, and she left college to really focus on the business. And I was telling her that I don't know if she thought I would say as a college professor. Like a lot of people think college professors believe everybody just needs to go to college no matter what. I don't believe that. I believe you need knowledge. I believe you need skill. So I said, you're actually in a great industry. I said, I don't know if I would feel like you have to go and get a job because there's more money in the industry that you're already located than there is, at any job you're going to get. Most jobs are not going to pay you the amount of money that you're going to make doing lashes and stuff like that. From when I wish I could do lashes. I wish I could do hair. I just ain't got no hair, right? So, so I don't know anything about the hair care business, but I do know black people should own it, and I do know that we spend billions, probably trillions of dollars over time in that industry, and I believe that that's something that we should benefit from. Tell me if you agree with that. I hope you agree. So so we were talking about investing in the stock market, and I was speaking to her and a couple of other young ladies yesterday, and I said all of you should be investing right now consistently. And so right there, she opened up her Robinhood account and she bought some stock right there. And I was explaining. I said, okay, so what company do you like? And she picked out a beauty company and she picked out McDonald's. And I said, okay, so you now own a percentage of McDonald's. You are now an owner of McDonald's. And we clap for her. We clap for her. And you should clap for your kids when they open their first investment account. Clap for them, cheer for them, because what you're doing is you're breaking generational curses when you do that. Like you're stepping up, you're leveling up. And I just cannot impress upon you enough how important that is. Remember, that was my area of research. Like that's all I studied with a fine-tooth comb was the stock market, how it works, where the money's at, how the money moves, how the companies operate. And I can just tell you that it's almost if you tell me you're not a stock market investor, what that does is that immediately reduces the probability that you have any wealth by about probably 70%. Like literally, right, when if you just tell me that one thing, if I say, "Do you invest in the stock market regularly?" and you say no, well, that tells me that you're probably not doing that well financially. Maybe in some cases, maybe there's something else going on, maybe an inheritance or real estate or whatever, but maybe even a good job, maybe a good job with a big savings account. All that's fine. But the problem with just saving money is that inflation erodes the value of your savings. Do you understand that? Like inflation just eats away at your savings like little roaches, just little termites. So what you have to invest in order to allow your wealth to accelerate past inflation. Remember, everybody doesn't get hurt when there's inflation. Inflation doesn't hurt everybody. There's some people in America who benefit from inflation. If the cost of a house goes up, the people who own property, they make a lot of money. When the price of grocery store items go up,
Little
the
termites.
people
So
the people who own stock in the grocery stores and make money, right? So don't think that inflation hurts everybody. I know politicians like to pretend like they can relate to the working man and the working woman. They can't because they benefit from inflation. These politicians are all invested in the stock market. Go look it up. These politicians own insane amounts of stock. So stop believing that they can relate to whatever you were raised on because that's not how they're living. That's just not consistent with the data. All right. So one of the things I want to mention quickly is I want to talk a little bit about what I refer to as the economics of time. And I told you that one of the things that I concluded, I've always told you that time is more valuable than money, and this isn't just true from a theoretical standpoint. It's true from a pure mathematical standpoint, research-based standpoint. In finance, time is the missing ingredient in most people's investment journeys. Anybody who says they want to get rich, but they don't want to use time, they don't want to take time to get rich, is usually not going to succeed. Basically, time is it's the water in the Kool-Aid, and you can't make Kool-Aid without water. What are you gonna do? Spit in it and drink? That's nasty, right? So you need it's the water in the Kool-Aid. So time is everything, and what people waste is not just money; they waste time. We do waste that 1.8 trillion dollars a year as a black community. We know that, or a big chunk of it. Like that's enough money where we could buy the entire NFL 3 or 4 times every single year if we wanted to. We could buy NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, and Amazon, and Microsoft, right? Like we can literally buy all those companies and do that every year if we wanted to. So money is wasted, but black people don't have as much money as we actually have time. And time is important for investing because time is like, think of it like driving down a road. The more time I have to drive down the road, the further down the road I'm going to go. If I drive down the road really fast, but I'm driving for a short period of time, I'm not going to go very far. But if I'm driving down the road really slow and I drive for a very long period of time, weeks, months, years, then I'm going to go very far down the road, no matter what speed I'm going. Do you understand what I'm saying? So let's talk about time really quick. I just thought about this. And you know what got me going? I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. A moment of transparency right now. I'm triggered. I'm really triggered. You know why I'm triggered? Let me tell you why I'm triggered. I'm triggered because I've been working to try to get my visa to go to Ghana, and the freaking consulate in DC is shut down. And I had to go to get the visa, and I'm gonna get it in New York, right? Well, and then something happened with, oh, I know what it was. I had to get my yellow fever vaccination card from this company called Passport Health. I sent in a credit card authorization form, filled it out, and for whatever reason, they still didn't send it. And they were saying, because you didn't fill out the entire form. I said, what part did I not fill out? You didn't put in the little CID code. I said, yes, I did. And I looked at the form. They looked at the form. They said, oh, yeah, you did. I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. And I spent 30 minutes on the phone figuring out the fact that I already did everything they asked me to do, and it's still going to take time for me to get my stuff, right? So I was mad. I was literally processing the amount of time that gets wasted with BS and bureaucracy, right? I'm really frustrated right now. So I said, you know what? I started doing introspection. When you start having these trauma responses to things, because I'm a heavily traumatized person. Undiagnosed, untreated trauma is a big problem in our community. It ruins our finances, ruins our relationships, has folks out here doing crazy stuff. I just saw like this girl showed me a video of like 10 black girls fighting, like it was like an army of 10 against another 10, and they were beating each other up and pulling each other's hair. And I was like, you can get arrested for that. And they were and I was like, ooh, this is what a community looks like when you ain't got no daddies in it. Is that what we doing? Is that what we looking at right now? I don't know. Anyway, but the point of the matter, let me circle back, is the trauma, right? So when I'm in the trauma space, I'll have the woosah moment, right? That's where you count to 10. That's where you kind of level off. You start becoming optimistic. You start thinking about the good things you got to do. You focus again. So I haven't had time to do that, right? So I literally came right into this class pissed off. I'm not gonna lie. So I said, you know what? One thing I was thinking about was time and how I hate when you waste my time. You can waste my money and I can get over that. But when you waste my time, that drives me insane. Do not ever waste the time of a person who is time conscious. And so I said, it'd be interesting to think about time and how much time we spend doing different things that distract us from our goal, right? Like you wonder why didn't I accomplish this? Why didn't I accomplish that? Why didn't I do all the things I wanted to do when I was young? Well, you were probably wasting time on some crazy stuff, right? Some ridiculous stuff. You're probably the average worker spends about 100,000 hours at their job. That's a lot of wasted time. You only have 700,000 hours on this earth. So you literally have 700,000 hours on this earth. You spend about what is it? About 226,000 of those 700,000 hours sleeping. So you've really got about 440,000 hours to work with. You donate 100,000 of those hours to the corporate plantation. Why do you do it? Well, because that's what your parents told you to do. They told you to get a job, even if you have an opportunity to build a business and be free and get all that time back. 100,000 hours of time that would belong to you. You're just trained to donate that and give that to the corporate plantation. If you live to be 80, then that means you would have about 29,000 days or 700,000 hours. A lot of people don't live to be 80. So even the 700,000 hour number is actually an exaggeration. I would probably lop off another, 8 years or so because a lot of people die around 72, 73, or 75, that kind of thing. Also, Americans spend about 400 days in traffic. So you spend about 9,000 hours just stuck in traffic. And I remember when I took my job on the faculty at Syracuse University, one of the biggest things that led me to go to that crazy university. I say atrocious because they were so racist, but not because they're not smart. It's just the racism was just ridiculous. There's nothing worse than racism in denial. When you're with an institution that's like, oh, we love diversity and we love black people, but then everything you do is kind of the opposite. And so anyway, when I went to this crazy, atrociously racist institution, I remember the thing that made me pick that job was I counted how much time it would take to commute back and forth to work, and I counted it was 13 minutes. And I said, okay, great. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in traffic, so I didn't want to go to DC, New York, LA, Philadelphia, or some place where I'm going to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours a day in traffic because that adds up, that compiles, that keeps you from your purpose. Every time you spend minutes and time doing something that's not consistent with your purpose, you're not just undermining your purpose, you're really undermining your mental health because I find that mental health is greatest when you have a purpose, when you're connected to your purpose. Also, you pretty much work. You work about, if you were to add up that 100,000 hours you spent on the corporate plantation, that's about 14 years of your life. So that's like, imagine if you were working, in a prison camp, nonstop, doing hard labor, 24 hours a day. That would be about 14 years of work that you'd put in. And then also the last one is social media. The average user spends about 2.5 hours a day scrolling. And if you add that up, that's about 6 years of your life that you spend scrolling on social media. Isn't that interesting? So to some extent, you're donating that time to Mark Zuckerberg, and that's why the man's worth $200 billion because he's able to convince you to spend your life scrolling. Now, let's talk about money. Let's talk about spending. Here are a few stats that you might find interesting about where money gets wasted in case you're looking for extra money or trying to figure out where your money went or why you're not wealthy. Let's talk about a few things. Number one, rent and housing costs. Over 50 years, if you assume 2.2% inflation, the average household spends about $2.2 million on housing costs, right? So the average American household spends about $2,120 a month on housing. And so imagine a person, imagine this, process this. Imagine a person who rents their entire life. And think about how many people you've known who were never really thinking about buying a home, but they were always thinking about renting something, right? Very short-term sort of thinking that we're taught to sort of do. And so literally, if you spend over $2 million on housing during the course of your life, you've literally bought your landlord a mansion. Like $2 million will buy you a very nice house. But here's the kicker. Here's the part that will really make you mad. That $2 million, had that money been invested in real estate or stock market investing, that 2 million would probably be more like 6 or 7 million. So the course of your life, just mindset, if you're thinking like a renter and not an owner, you're gonna literally give away millions of dollars in wealth and then say, well, I'm poor because I'm black. You're not poor because you're black, you're poor because someone taught you that being black meant that you're supposed to sort of stay in the same condition that you're in. Utility bills. The average American household spends $429 per month on utilities. So that comes out to about $465,000. The average American spends $832 a month on groceries. That's about $900,000 over a lifetime. Transportation, the average American spends about $1.1 million over the course of their life on transportation. So that's that, $700, $800 car note that you might have wanted to get for that Escalade that you saw advertised on BET. So that $1.1 million again, had it been invested, turns into what, $4 or $5 million in generational wealth. Streaming and entertainment, Americans spend about $59 a month on streaming services, $303 $40 a month on entertainment. And so that's about $4,344 a year total. So over 50 years, that adds up to about $392,000 total, right? So if you talk about total lifetime spending, just to give you a quick summary, housing 2.2 million, utilities 465,000, food about 900,000, transportation 1.1 million, entertainment 392,000. That's a total of $5.16 million, $5.16 million. And that's throwing in inflation, things like that. So don't you ever dare tell me that black people don't have any money, right? That's not true. We have money. We're just trained to give it all away. We have money, we have time. We're trained to give away our time and give away our money, and we also give away our attention, and sometimes we give away our soul. And so, what I would encourage you to do is to reclaim it. You got to reclaim it. Ownership is everything. First thing you got to own is you. When I say ownership, I'm not talking about owning a house or a car or a business. I'm talking about owning your life. Being born in a capitalist society pretty much means you're sort of trained to sell out from the very beginning. You're trained to position yourself in such a way that you don't get to decide what you're going to do that day. Someone else is deciding that for you. There's some place you have to go just for the right to exist. You have to own, or someone else owns your time. They tell you, hey, get to work at 9 o'clock. This is what you're supposed to do all day. And what unfortunately happens is it ends up stealing your purpose. If I just thought about that and I said, gosh, I'm not just happy about things like choosing to be an entrepreneur and all that, or choosing to get an education, over say, some I know people that, for example, they did other things like went to prison and stuff like that. But I'm really really happy that I was able to own my time and own my life. A lot of us don't own our own lives, and and also the other thing too is slavery is an intergenerational curse. It's contagious. And so, we want to be really careful about training our children to sell themselves the way we were sold out, right? Like if the only thing you're doing is talking to your child about what kind of job they can get, I don't know if that's the healthiest conversation to have. I think that making sure that entrepreneurship is on the table and figuring out like what can you build, what can you create that's actually yours that gives you space and latitude to live, that's essential. When I became a business owner, the money wasn't the best part. The money was not the, and the money was good, but the money was not the best part. The best part was the freedom. You can't put a price tag on that. How you gonna put a price tag on freedom? Ain't no price tag on freedom. People historically have died for freedom. And so economic freedom, buying yourself out of slavery, is that first step toward you truly becoming a productive asset to you, your life, and your community, and your family as well. That's the first step. In order for you to be able to use an asset, which is you, you have to free that asset from prior obligations. When an asset is owned and controlled by something or someone else, then that asset's going to be used for the benefit of the owner. And so we are an asset that is owned. Our labor force is an asset that is owned by corporate America. So therefore, corporate America's wealth goes up, black wealth goes down. How is it that you work that hard and your wealth is not going up? If you're working that hard, your wealth should be skyrocketing. In fact, if you do it right, only one generation should actually do labor. And that should be literally for about maybe 10 or 15 years. Literally, if you do it right, if you plan it right, only one generation should have to work. And it should only be about for about 10 or 15 years. After that, no one else has to work anymore unless they want to. Well, how do you say that, Boyce? You're talking crazy, Boyce. You're talking out the side of your head. What's wrong with you, Negro? You talking ridiculous. This is stupid, Boyce. Shut up. I thought you had a PhD. Well, I do have a PhD, asshole. Let me break it down for you. I'm really speaking. I'm speaking to the haters out loud. That's what I'm just I'm being a jerk right now. Um, Let me break it down for you. Let's assume that you have a regular job, and let's say that you simply, this is what I was explaining to the young lady last night. So I figure this would be something to break down for you today. I said, let's say that you have a job and you are making, I don't know, let's say $1,000 a week or something, 800 to $1,000 a week. I said, look, there's going to be expenses. We know this, but not every expense is mandatory, right? There's going to be expenses that you have to pay, and then there are going to be expenses that, are somewhat optional. So so optional would be entertainment or going out to eat or whatever, right? Mandatory, rent, utilities, whatever, right? I get it. Let's say that you just simply took one of your expenses and just said, that's the amount that I'm going to pour into the stock market. I'm not going to drill on this point for too long because you've heard me talk about similar things before. So let's say that you say, okay, 10%, like a lot of times when we go to a church will say tithe 10% to the church. Okay, fine. I think you should also tithe 10% to your family, 10% to your financial security. Before you make the pastor financially secure, I think you should make yourself financially secure. And then you can go hook up the pastor if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. Pastors deserve to be compensated, in my opinion, because they work very hard for their The good ones work extremely hard for their congregation. Everybody forgets about the pastor. Go take care. If you go to church every Sunday, go take care of that pastor. See, check on him, check on her, because don't nobody check on the pastor, but the pastor's checking on everybody else. So shout out to the good pastors out here. I would never speak negatively about the black church as a collective because that would be inaccurate. With that said, if I'm taking like say 10% of that income, well, 10%, the amount I might spend on fast food or going out to lunch, well, that's $80 a week if I'm making $800 a week, right? $80 a week, that's a lot of money. $80 a week is $320 a month. That's not equal to what we talk about with the $5 day plan. That's actually more than double. That's more than double. More than double. So if you're taking that $320 a month, treating it like a bill, and it's not just a matter of choice, it's a matter of self-respect. The question is, do you respect your family as much as you respect the people that you're paying that car note to? Do you respect or if you build a business, do you respect your own business as much as you respect that man's business that you worked for? See, this is deeper than just about the money. It ain't just black wealth ain't about the money. Black wealth is about the mindset. Black wealth is about self-esteem. Black wealth is about how you value yourself. So the question, simple question, do you respect what you're building, your generational wealth as much as you respect um, getting a new iPhone or going to fast food restaurants or running to the liquor store or whatever it is that you might do with your extra money, chasing women, whatever it is that you're doing, right? If the answer is yes, then let's say we take that 320, it's a line item in our budget. It's the top item in our It's the number one line item in the budget. Number one. Not number five, not number 10, not what we give, what's left on. No, it's the number one item in the budget. We have it taken out of our check the minute we get paid. So we don't even see that money. We're not even budgeting with that money because that money's going towards security. That's black national security right there. That's what that is. That's keeping you from having to bow down when Donald Trump becomes your next boss and he decides he doesn't like you. Or that's what protects you so that you're not scared to death and traumatized when they take your job away. So this is there's nothing more important than this. All right. So 320 a month, we're popping this into the account. Let's make it 300. I'm gonna give you extra $20 just to have fun with. Go, don't spend it all in one place. All right. So $300 a month. Well, remember the $5 day plan. And let's say I take this money and the young lady was asking me like, well, which stock do I pick? I don't know which stock to pick. I said the biggest mistake you can make when it comes to investing is to overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just pick anything. Just go to the S&P 500 or something close to that. And that publicly traded, just if you go to a store and you like the store, buy some of the stock in the store, right? Just make it a game. Have fun with it. So let's say you do that. So you're just plopping this money into the S&P 500 and you're doing $300 a month and you're doing that consistently. You're not selling it. You're not saying, well, at what point do I sell my stock? You don't sell it. You'll own it. That's like saying, at what point do I burn down my house? No, you don't burn it down. You build on the damn thing and you live in it, right? So you don't sell your house unless you get another house, right? So don't ask me when do I sell my stock. You can own it. You can just have it sitting there. Again, it's security. That's what it's protection. So 300 a month. I do that for a decade. In one decade, I am doing better than 90% of all Americans. In one decade, I've got roughly 55 to $60,000 liquid in my investment account. In one decade, I have broken every single myth, lie, curse, nonsense, stereotype, propaganda about what it means to be black and poor in America. Literally, in one decade, I've set it off for everybody. In one decade, I'm probably doing better than everyone in my family. I'm doing better than most white people. I'm doing better than damn near everybody I know. One decade, $55,000 liquid. I can turn. boop, 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 hit my portfolio, and I got $55,000 in that thing. That's amazing to me. That's magic. But then let's say that I'm consistent, right? 2 decades go by. Now I'm up to about $200,000. So because I've done this for the last 2 decades, again, you spent 2 decades on your job. Why not spend 2 decades working on your life? I mean, you spent 2 decades doing other things. Spend 2 decades building something that people are going to remember. Sacrifice a couple of decades so that the kids can live good forever, right? And so at the meantime, 2 decades, I got $200,000, and I've done the basics. I got my life insurance policy. Life insurance policies are not hard to get. There are lots of people. Aisha Verzi's probably here. She could put her phone number in there. You could get policies, but they don't cost that much. 3 decades, I've got what is it about 200 no, sorry. I said 290. I'm sorry. I meant to say you got about $590,000 after 30 years. Maybe give or take somewhere around half a million. Who's counting at this point? You're rich. You're really rich. You're defying all the little Negro stereotypes that they've given you your whole life about how being black means you're supposed to be poor. And then after 40 years, you are up to about $1.5 million. So you are a millionaire status. And literally, you've done that by simply taking 10% of your income and putting that in the stock market, which is the greatest wealth generator in the history of the world. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It's not advanced calculus. It's not regular calculus. It's not algebra. This is barely 2 plus 2 equals 4. This is not complex. And so when I was speaking to the young lady, and she was, asking me a lot of questions about stocks, and I understood that, but I was like, a lot of these questions, honestly, I've answered these questions with students for 30 years. I know the answer. But if you trust that I know the answer, then trust me when I say that you don't have to worry about it. I know these things so that you don't have to go know all these things, right? So, um, so just do it. It's not hard. Don't waste time. Don't waste money. Live your life. You don't have to cut anything out hardly. You know, I mean, I've never told you to cut things out of your life. I've just said pay your bills first. And you've already known how to do that. This is not new. Your mama told you to pay your bills before you go party, right? So that's it. All I'm doing is adding in an extra bill. I'm just throwing in a little line item at the top and saying, here, just make sure we pay that little one little bill right here. This is you got the cell phone and the Wi-Fi and the water bill and the rent and the whatever, but and the whatever other optional, the little Netflix. Just put a bill up there called me, right? Or bill or called us or family or family fortune or family whatever you want to call it. Just have that little line item. That money comes out of the account automatically. And that way you're not even thinking about it. That's the best part. That's what's so crazy. The coolest thing about financial consciousness, because I've thought about this a lot, because I'm very conscious of these things. That's why I call it financial consciousness. The coolest thing about financial consciousness is that a big part of consciousness is knowing when to be unconscious. It's knowing when to like do something in the background so you're not thinking about it, to set it and forget it. Right? But that comes from knowledge of self. You got to know yourself well enough to know, like, if I know I've got $40,000 in my investment account, I'm gonna want to go spend it. It's gonna burn a hole in my pocket. I get it. So if you know that that's who you are and you know that's how you operate, then you're gonna have to trick yourself. You're literally going to have to deceive the person in the mirror because that person's working against you. You, my friend, are a self-hating Negro right now because you know that the other side of you, the little devil on your shoulder, is going to go in there and take that money out and spend it on something stupid. So what you got to do is you got to trick yourself. I do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And I got a whole damn PhD in this. Being intellectually smart does not maximize your emotional intelligence. Having all kinds of degrees does not mean that I always have the discipline that I want to have. I don't. I disappoint myself all the time. But I spend time trying to learn myself so I'll know, like, hey, boys, you ain't gonna stop this train, buddy. I know that you are traumatized. I know you got insecurities. I know that you ain't perfect. I know that you have things that bother you, things that worry you, things that tempt you, whatever it is. We're not letting you get in the way. So the good voice operates in a way where sometimes he hides things from the other voice. For example, the other voice, he created the fat voice. The fat voice was this guy. You go look on the internet about 2015, you're going to see him. He's out there. The fat voice, couldn't turn down like a candy bar or a pack of Twizzlers. The good voice knows, dude, you're 50 something years old. You can't be eating like this. It's going to kill you, man. Stop it. So, what the good voice does to trick the other voice is he does not keep candy and sugary crap in the house, right? The good voice deliberately, specifically, and consciously wanted to marry a woman who eats super healthy so that a salad is in my face before a candy bar. Because he knows that when Boyce lives by himself, he becomes a food addict. He starts to chew up all that food and that food that's going to mess him up, right? So another example, when I used to pay child support, it was a lot of money, and it just really it burned me up because I didn't have any say on what was being done with the money, and it was a lot. It was a big chunk of my paycheck. So you know what I did? I said, you know what? Just set it and just take the money out, and then I'll get used to not having it, and I won't have to see it. If I don't see it, then I'm not going to think about it because I don't know if I had when I was younger, especially, I don't know if I had the discipline to sit down and write a check that big every month. My hands would be shaking. And so really what you got to do is find a way to trick yourself if that's what's required. If you have those flaws, and everybody does. This is why knowledge of self is so important. If you learn who you are, then you can make a plan to kind of circumvent that so you can become who you want to be, right? And just so I just share that story to let you know, ain't nobody got it perfect. Ain't nobody got it all figured out. But we all, at the very least, we're all obligated to do our best. We can do our best. So just tell me in the chat, give me a yes if you're going to do your best to grow and do your best to try some of what I'm saying. Do your best to be consistent. Do your best to flip out of those generational curses. Because I'm tired of blackness meaning like all these horrible things and that somehow, you're supposed to be goofy and dumb and do all these dysfunctional things. That's not who we are. We're not. We're geniuses. We're smart people, and we got to behave like that. Okay. All right. So I'm done talking now. I probably talked too much. And I apologize for being all triggered when I got in here. I was mad. The guy had me on that damn phone for 30 minutes, and I was like, man, Ah, I was shaking my fist at the air. That's what I was doing. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Tomorrow we're doing stock market training. If you want to join us, you can go to drboycestockmarket.com. That's drboycestockmarket.com. I also have some cheat sheets in drboycebooks.com that you can pick up on how to open your first brokerage account. Another one we put together is called How to Make 5K in your first 5K in the stock market. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. If you look up words like brokerage or stock market, stuff like that, you'll see a lot of stuff in there. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day, and don't forget to get on the text list for this class if you're not on there yet. Text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948, and you will hear from me soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Love you.